There we go again. Hold on. Redo. You guys have no idea how many times I have to film one of these suckers before I actually get the one that I show you. I think I should assemble an outtakes at some point to show you. Anyway, okay. So today, I was talking on one of my Facebook groups. I honestly didn't even look to see which one it was, so I may have actually been breaking rules this morning, and I'm feeling a little bit guilty about that. But what I want to talk to you about, I'm going to stick this one in the Amy's Stories playlist, because I just feel like I need to talk about this. In every group that you join that's like really specifically targeted, God, look at this spot on my eye. I have no idea what that is. It's just like crazy. And I'm trying very hard not to consider the possibility that I have like a spider bite on my eye, because how horrific would that be? Anyway, in every group that you join where you're focused on one specific target, when the group becomes large enough and people from different backgrounds mix in, somebody's always got to make drama about something. And as I've explained in some of my previous videos, and people who know me know this about me, but I'm not, I have a very low BS tolerance level, and I tend to stick my foot in it because I just, you know that little cartoon that's on the internet? I think I'll have to put a picture of it up here so that you can see it. But it says, you know, honey, are you coming to bed? And it says, no, just a minute. I can't. It's like, what's the matter? It's like someone's wrong on the internet. Here it is, in case you've never seen this lovely cartoon. I try so hard not to be that person, but occasionally I forget myself, and it's usually early in the morning, because this is morning time. I've just dropped my daughter off at school, and I've dropped the dog off at daycare, and I'm babbling. I'm sorry. Okay, the point is, in the cloth community, which doesn't just include cloth menstrual pads, there are a lot of reusable cloth products out there. People who use unpaper towels, which, by the way, I'm trying to learn how to sew. People who use cloth alternatives to toilet tissue, which is popularly called family cloth. People who use cloth diapers, people who use cloth incontinence pads, and then there's cloth reusable menstrual pads. There's all kinds of cloth alternative products out there. I make these little things called tissue books that people can blow their nose on or wipe sunglasses with or whatever. It's just like instead of a packet of tissues in your handbag, you carry around a little cloth book with little pages in it of flannel that you can use. So, I mean, there's all kinds of really creative things out there that people are using cloth instead of paper because they want to reduce their waste. Or because it's better for sensitive skin. I mean, there's, you know, we could come up with a list of reasons. And every cloth group that I've ever been a part of, and gosh, there's like 15 of them now. I can't keep them all straight, but I love them. I love the conversations that happen. There are several controversies that come up over and over again, and one of the biggest ones is the term mama cloth. First of all, I don't like the word mama. That's just me. It's personal pet peeve. It has nothing to do with anybody else, no reference to or judgment or anything. I've just never liked the term mama. I encouraged my daughter to call me mommy instead of mama. I call my own mother mama. I don't know why I have a trouble with that word, but anyway. Mama cloth is a term that has become extremely popular in the cloth community, and there's some controversy around it, and we'll get into that. I'm going to just address this so that I can get my feelings on the subject out there because, number one, I'm making this video for me more than I am for you guys. It's because I feel like maybe if I talk all of this out, then I won't stick my foot in it on the internet and offend people anymore. That's my idea. I'll just put it on YouTube and offend everybody on video. Okay, I don't like the term mama cloth, but before I get into why I don't like that term, part of it is because I don't like the word mama. But anyway, we'll keep going. Before we get into why I don't like that term for cloth reusable menstrual pads, is because, oh, I lost my place. See, oh my God. See, this is why I don't make videos in the morning. I still haven't gotten to the thesis statement. We're like 5 minutes into this thing. I don't know why you guys watch my videos. Okay, I remembered. Okay, So before we get into why I don't like the term mama cloth, you need to understand where it comes from, where the term mama cloth as a label for cloth reusable menstrual pads. Where that label came from is important to know, because if you know why people use that term, I think it will help you, especially if you're like me, if you're one of those people who does not like the term, for whatever your reasons for not liking it are. It helps to understand the benign nature of it, the completely non-threatening nature of the word, where it came from. Cloth diapering, about 10 years ago, as short as 10 years ago, and especially any further back than that, cloth diapering was very fringe, at least in the United States. I honestly don't know. I have no reference for how they felt about it in other English-speaking countries, which is most of the groups that I'm in. Everybody's first language is English, or they're very fluent in English. So I know that there are people who don't speak English as their first language in those groups. But if you're talking about the majority of the population there, they are mostly Anglophonic people. And so we're talking about Canada, the United States, Australia, the Western European nations where there are large groups of English-speaking people, such as Great Britain and Ireland and Scotland, and and there are people from other parts of the world in those groups, but the majority of us are from the Anglophonic nations. And I don't know how outside of North America people felt about cloth diapering, but I do know that in the United States, if you cloth diapered your baby as recently as 10 years ago, that was kind of a fringe thing. And so women who cloth diapered and women who made cloth diapers for their babies, cloth nappies, they found each other on the internet, and they would trade patterns and tips on how to sew and how to, which materials to use to avoid leaks and that sort of thing. And it became this social thing, because there are a lot of social and ideological similarities with people who were making that choice. And so they found themselves this group for support. And it became it is a natural progression for people. It's like, oh, I use cloth diapers. Why not use cloth menstrual pads? And so the two discussions kind of mixed together. And then the cloth paper towels, and then the cloth toilet tissue, and the cloth to blow your nose, and all of those things. So you had this group that began as a cloth diapering community, and that was the focus. And so cloth, 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 cloth always meant diapers. But then all of a sudden there were all these other products. And so just for disambiguation, just for clarity in discussion, they would refer to it as baby cloth, and then they would refer to the cloth menstrual pads as mama cloth, because it was cloth for the babies, and then they were talking about cloth for the mamas. And then when they would talk about the other products that everybody in the household would use, they would refer to those as family cloth. That is the origin of the term mama cloth. And for women who've been using cloth pads for, 10 years, or 5 years even, or for pretty much any woman who came to understand or know about the concept of cloth menstrual pads through the internet, a lot of them discovered it in these cloth diapering communities who have had the convention of referring to them as mama cloth for years. Okay, so you needed to know that's where the term comes from. It is completely benign. It is not meant to be exclusionary. The people who use that term have no thought of hurting anyone or excluding anyone. They don't mean to insult women who do not want to have children. They don't mean to insult the younger ladies who come to menstrual cloth who are, 16, 17 years old. They don't want to be mothers. And the idea of using something called mama cloth is like, I don't want to use that. They don't like calling it that. But the women who use that term, you have to understand that that's a word that was around. It's kind of like the pioneers of this whole nouveau cloth movement. They called it that because that came out of their community. They're kind of the ones that created this for us. They're the ones who resurrected using cloth. And so I think the people who tend to get really offended, it's like, oh, I'm offended. How dare you exclude my group of people in this community by calling it mama cloth? That's ridiculous. That's not what they're doing. That's not what their intention is. And for you to paint that all over them is a little ridiculous. I think you need to be a little more grateful to the group of women who resurrected the use of cloth pads and have brought it, quite frankly, almost mainstream. I mean, I'm seeing more and more of it. It's becoming more and more mainstream. I had no idea when I first came into this, because most of us still haven't heard of them. There are hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of women who are doing this, and they're doing it quietly, and the only people who know about it are the people on the internet that they discuss it with. So if your first impulse, if you are a younger woman who is not yet a mother and does not want to be a mother, or if you're a fully mature woman and you've decided that you don't want to become a mother, those are your choices, and that's fine. And I don't call it mama cloth, because I think I don't like the name mama, for one, and number two, I think it's kind of trite and silly. And I don't use cloth menstrual pads because I'm a mother. I use them because I am a woman who has a menstrual cycle. So I don't like the term either. I'm with ya. I hear ya. I get it. I know what your point is. But what I'm saying is, I think you need to be a little bit more sympathetic. I think you need to be a little more understanding. And when your approach to these ladies is hostile, they're not going to listen to you. They're not going to take your point. If you go up to these people with, well, you've offended me, and da-da-da, that was not what they woke up this morning with the intention of doing. And I think that anybody who finds offense in that term needs to kind of tone it down a little bit. And remember that your being offended is not important. What's important is that, we're doing things for women's health. We're doing things to improve the quality of women's lives. And that's the important thing. So if you really truly are offended, if it does make you recoil every time you hear that word, then what I would recommend is that you quietly, calmly, and politely explain your reasons why when it's appropriate, instead of trying to bash people over the head or act like this is a personal affront. Because the truth is, that term isn't about you. That term is about the people who made this happen for all of us. Okay? And then finally, the one big reason that I don't like the term, and I really want people to sit with this because I think it's important. And this is something that really younger people, unless I'm just a complete outlier in this, I didn't ever consider this. I didn't think about these things when I was a younger woman. Because I had not tried to become a mother yet, so it just wasn't something that was in my daily thought vocabulary. Women who cannot conceive, and there are thousands upon thousands of women out there in the world who are trying to get pregnant, who can't, for whatever reason. There's as many reasons why people can't get pregnant as there are women who are trying and having trouble with it. But that's heartbreaking. If that's something that a woman really wants, it is a biological impulse. It is also a heartfelt desire for a lot of women who are especially maternal, and they just want this so badly. And for whatever reason, they're not getting it. Whether it's because they can't and never will, or whether it's because they're having a temporary problem or health issues or whatever. But those things can be devastating. And I don't just mean devastating because it's disappointing. I'm going to give you a little anecdotal personal story. Obviously, you've all seen my kid. I was able to have a kid. And we didn't even have to try very hard. Boom, there was Lizzie. But I tried to breastfeed. And that was an absolute nightmare. It was a nightmare. For all of the reasons that people promote breastfeeding, I wanted to nurse my child naturally. Number one, it helps you lose baby weight. And yeah, I'm going to admit that's a big one. That was right up there on my list. I did not want to keep those 28 pounds. Number two was that I honestly believe, and pretty much science has proven, that breast milk is the best way to feed your infant if that's possible for you. That it's good for them. It passes on all kinds of things, and it is complete nutrition for a human baby is human breast milk. And I wanted to do it, and I tried. Oh my goodness, I gave it the college try. I'm not going to get into graphic detail, number one, because I'm still very, very emotionally sensitive about this issue. But the important point of telling you this is that I had these troubles, and I'm not going to list them out for you because I really don't want to talk about it publicly. That was hard. It may sound stupid, but when these things happen, when things that your body is supposed to be able to do fail, there can be this immense, this feeling that you're not even being a woman correctly. You know, I mean, what use are these? I mean, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I have these massive boobs. I can't stand them. I've hated them my entire life. But then when it was time for them to do the thing that I have toted them around and that God put them on me for, they couldn't do it right. So there is this immense sense of failure. And I know, because I've had friends who've miscarried and who've had trouble conceiving, that they have echoed that same thing. That was the thing that I was able to relate to it as closely as I could, was through that experience. I felt like my inability to nurse my child beyond 3 months was a huge failure. And imagine not being able to conceive. You know, you and your partner want to have a baby, and for whatever reason, you know, you're supposed to be the one getting pregnant and you can't do it. It doesn't matter what the reason is, because my reasons for not being able to nurse were legitimate and they were not my fault, but you still feel like this huge failure. Now, when a woman who is trying to conceive gets her cycle, that is the day that she's reminded on a 28, 30-day rotation, you failed again, you failed again, you failed again. And not every woman who's trying to conceive feels that way, but quite a few of them do. It is a huge disappointment every time their period comes around. And you want them to call it mama cloth. So she's going to sit down and be confronted with, once again, fertilization did not take place. She has not conceived. Here's the proof of it. It happened again. And you want her to use mama cloth. What did you just do to her? What did that term, what did that label just do to her? So that's what I want you to think about. That's the main reason, and it's the only important one. It's the only one that matters, in my opinion. In my opinion, the only reason that that term matters is because of that woman right there. I think we should call them other things. Cloth pads works great. Cloth menstrual pads works great. So that's my opinion on the whole mama cloth thing. The truth is, I don't think about it on a daily basis, but these conversations come up in my Facebook groups on a regular basis, and I figured every time I always say, oh, I'm not going to comment. I'm not going to comment. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. And then I say something. So I'm thinking now that now that I've made this video, this rambling blah, blah, blah video, but you guys said that you didn't mind, so I'm going to post this anyway. Now that I've made this video, I'm hoping that maybe I can now resist the impulse to ever post anything video or textual on the internet about this topic ever again. Thank you very much for watching the channel. And if you don't hate me and unsubscribe now, I will see you again soon. Bye.